Okay, we're back. We're live. Oh, Monday, Memorial Day. Nobody is downtown, but here we are, broadcasting nevertheless on ThinkTech Talks. And today we're doing agri-tech in Hawaii. We do this in conjunction with the State Department of Agriculture and most specifically Liz Shu, who helps us set up these shows and who sometimes is here. She's probably watching though, yeah.
Probably.
And we have today our special guest is Reyn Horner. He runs Hapa Farms in Kahalu'u, and we're calling this Farming Through the Generations. You'll see more what that means, okay? So let me just introduce you, Reyn. That's Reyn Horner. Say hi.
Hi.
Who are you?
I'm Reyn Horner. I'm the owner of Hapa Farms. So we are a aquaponic farm in Kahalu'u. We're one of the only FNO-free hatcheries in the state. So
What kind of hatchery?
FNO-free.
So
that's
oh.
Francisella. It's a really bad disease.
Okay. And how do you achieve being free of that?
It's not easy and it costs a lot of money, but we kill a lot of fish and then we send samples in, and it has to be done by an independent third party, and then they test for different.
Okay, so tell me more about the farm.
I'm a fourth generation farmer. My son will be the fifth. We've had our ups and downs, and but we found our niche, I think, in hatchery.
Making money?
Yeah, surprisingly, I was a little amazed at first, but yeah, we are. So,
so you got your training on the job then? Huh?
Yeah, I come from a conservation background, and I've done like a bunch of different things, and aquaponic training we've learned through trial and error mostly, but.
So when you were a kid, you were working on the farm?
Yeah.
I mean, how old were you when they got you out there in the field?
Well, by the time I was a kid, my family we were more probably what you would call gentleman farmers. They farmed produce, but they weren't really selling a lot, so it wasn't a major deal for us to go out. My parents moved. My parents' generation of the family, they moved into town and they got like real jobs, professional jobs, and they did other things, and so it was just very lucky that we were able to. And my grandfather still farms a lot of stuff, so when we restarted it, he was very kind to help manage.
So your grandfather started the farm in the first place?
My great-grandfather.
Sorry. Yeah. I want to get a handle on how long ago that
okay.
was.
So I'll give you my whole spiel.
Yeah, please. Well,
great-grandfather was a boat builder from Japan. So he moved to Hawaii and he successfully built a couple boats, and he found himself with some money. So he bought some land and they started to farm, and what we did originally we were macadamia nut farmers, and that was the heyday of the farm. We were making a lot of money. And
what year was that?
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
What happened was the macadamia nut industry moved to the Big Island from Maui, and we were no longer able to. It wasn't economical for us to do that deal anymore. So we tried a lot of different things. We farmed guava. That was my parents' generation. I think the farming guava kind of is what did it and made them decide that they didn't want to be farmers anymore. And because apparently, it does. Guava is very pungent. It's not something that you want to go through life smelling like. So My uncles still swear that's why they, it caused them some problems in life when they were younger, when they were young men. So it's anyways, they're very proud of what they did. But we've done corn, we've done tomatoes, we've done cut flowers. After the macadamia industry was probably, we did cut flowers. We did cows for a little while. I mean, we tried everything, and we were never able to, let's say, recapture the macadamia nuts they were good for us at the time. They worked out well.
How big is the farm?
We're 5 acres, so very small, especially compared to.
It's got to be efficient.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love aquaponics. It works out well for us.
Where exactly is it?
We're up in the back, right before hygienics. You turn left.
Okay, that's beautiful country up there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And that's the original land that was, your great-grandfather's original farm?
Yeah, no. He built all the roads. Him and Grandpa, all the slabs there. He actually cut the terraces that I use now out by hand. 50 years ago or whatever it was. So it's they're tough. My grandfather's still a tough man. So he
Still alive?
yeah, he's like 90 something, and I catch him out running the chainsaw out in the way out into the bushes, and I'm like,
Tough guy.
tough guy. Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, you made a decision that you were going to stay with it.
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, was there a moment when you thought maybe you wouldn't stay with it?
Well, yeah, I didn't set out life to be a farmer. I worked for a conservation company, and it was a
What conservation company is that?
Ponum Pacific. Yeah, and so I thought that was I had a lot of fun. We would go, and there's a extinct species of snail that we brought back from extinction. We've done it was a very rewarding job, and it just involves a lot of I don't know if I should say this, but conservation involves a lot of dispatching of things, whether it's plants or animals, or to save other things.
To save others, yeah.
And so it's much more rewarding to grow things, I find, So.
So you went back to the farm.
Yeah, sometimes being a farmer puts you at odds with some of the conservation ideals, but it's good to have both.
Did you go to school?
Yeah, I did. I went Whittier, and then I went WCC. So.
Is it Whittier in California?
Yeah.
Is that a special program in agriculture?
No, they're liberal arts college.
Okay. That's where Richard Nixon went to.
Yeah.
I guess you knew that.
Right. That's
Everybody at Whittier knows that.
Everybody, unfortunately. Yeah. So, yeah.
And what was the second school?
WCC. I've KCC. I just bounced around.
Okay. And special programs around agriculture or what?
Yeah, my background, I guess, my relevant background would be in ethno-pharmacognosy. It's kind of a hard word to say, but
what is it?
It's just turning plants into medicine. There's the ethnobotanist. I didn't know this, but apparently there's a lot of different. There's not just botany. There's a lot of different scientists involved in them, and they'll get very mad, if you. You don't want to mix it all up. So, but. Yeah, these are the guys that are more for the pharmaceutical side of it. It's not so much the study of the history. So.
Okay, so if I went to look at the farm right now, who would be there? What would they be doing?
Well, we're a very small operation. It's we're a hatchery. We're centered around being a hatchery. So everything we do is, when we first started, we looked at it and. Basically, we're farming on a hillside like this, and so, anyways, it works out well. It's like using the land without having to do a lot of work. So,
you mean it's good to be on a hillside like this?
Well, no. I mean, most conventional farmers or even aquaponic people would say that it's probably better to be flat.
Yeah.
But with a hillside, you have certain advantages, gravity, and if you look at it. All the flat land that we have in Hawaii is all used for housing. I mean, on Oahu at least, right? That's how they're going to make the most money is using the land for housing. And what's left is that marginal, what I call marginal land. So something like that. So it's if you can use that land to produce produce, I mean, hey, that would be awesome. And there's a lot of marginal land available. So.
Okay, that's Reyn Horner. He's with Hapa Farms, owner of Hapa Farms. Kahalu'u. And we're here at Agritech in Hawaii, part of the ThinkTech series, talking about farming through the generations. We have much more to cover. We'll be right back after this short break.
Aloha, my name is Willow Chang Elion, and I host a show called The Art of Life. We air live every Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. And what we do is basically we focus on individuals who create a unique sense of place for Hawaii. These are movers and shakers, artists, innovators. They are also traditionalists. They're all involved in the archival process, and they make this place a unique place, one that makes Hawaii a richer place to be. I hope you do join us, and certainly tell your friends about the show, whether they live here or they live abroad. It's a way to give back to our community. We're keeping it
The fifth
coming.
generation.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here in Agritech in Hawaii, part of the ThinkTech series with Reyn Horner, Hapa Farms. And we're talking about farming through the generations, which is an important discussion, if I didn't mention that earlier. Because, you know, we talk these days about people doing startup farms and going to UH and, you know, and part of, the College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources, and coming out and knowing a little chemistry and botany and whatnot, and making a farm. And that's very nice, but it's different when you have generations of, 4 generations, and been working the same land. You know, do you know anybody else who's in the same situation?
Yeah, there's a lot of farmers actually that are more generations in than we are. Not all, I mean, you know, but yeah, there are. So for sure. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. When you asked me where I got my training, I should have mentioned them. CTAR, of course, was very instrumental in setting us up and training us, and they worked hands-on with us a lot in the beginning years. And
Part of the extension program.
right, part of the extension program.
They come out and help you.
Yeah, for sure, and they're also the ones managing our disease-free status and things like that. So, sorry, I should.
Okay, so on the farm, the 5 acres right now, what are you growing?
Well, so we have a lot of tilapia, 75,000. We also have, my main commercial crop right now is peppers, and so it's amazing.
Is it part of the aquaponic system?
Yeah,
Are you growing anything in the soil anymore?
yeah, we do, of course. I'm a big believer. It's when people ask me what I do, I don't really use aquaponics. It's great. It's a great. I mean, it was branded well, so it's a great way to get people to understand what you're doing fast. But a better term would probably be integrated ag, and it's something that would be. It's probably encompasses what we do better, right? And so you can do a lot of different things. Integrated ag, you can do chickens and pigs and cows, and it doesn't have to be just fish and plants, right? And so,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have 5 acres, you might as well use the 5 acres.
right.
Because, you know, aquaponics doesn't take all that much acreage.
Right, and it's very expensive to start up, right? And so
Yeah.
it's not like you can just go in and, I mean, obviously some people.
This is like
do.
Fred Lau. He starts with a nursery, and he makes a little bit of aquaponics over on the side over there, and a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare myself to Fred Lau, but yeah.
He's older.
Right. That's why.
Okay, so peppers.
Peppers, yeah. And then I'm just expanding into Kahalu'u. I have a strain of Kahalu'u that we're selling for leaf. But yeah, peppers for sure.
Okay, so the peppers and the color are from the ground.
No, we do aquaponics.
Aquaponics, both of them.
Yeah, we also have mangoes and lychee and bananas, papayas.
That would be from the ground.
Those are in the ground, mostly, for the most part. But we have some big trees in aquaponic systems, and that's one of the beauties of aquaponics is that you can. I mean, it's wonderful. But yeah, but you know, things like mangoes and lychee are obviously seasonal, and so it's not something that we can depend on.
Yeah. So you're growing all these things at staggered periods during the year, so you always have a harvest going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what we depend on is our tilapia, and so because we produce tilapia year round, it's fairly easy to be consistent, at least. So it's not as hard to manage as it sounds.
Doesn't it bother you to sell the tilapia? I mean, they eat them.
Yeah, I mean,
they're your friends, aren't they?
I eat them too. So,
okay. Well.
But no, I'm very proud. Whenever I see my fish swimming around in some farmer's pond, it makes me very happy. So,
what's special about your fish?
Well, the main thing that's special about them is they're FNO-free. They're disease-free.
That's really important.
Right, that's really important. And so, you know, in 1994, they had mass die-offs of tilapia, and nobody could figure out why. And it was very hard economically on the farmers, existing farmers. We weren't obviously tilapia farming then, but it was very hard on the farmers out there. And so ever since then, they've been doing a lot of research. And anyways.
So what do you do to prevent that infection? You have to put medicine in the water or what?
No. And in fact, if you medicate your fish, a lot of times people are not interested in buying them. So we definitely do not do anything like that. What we do is we take biosecurity measures. So we just basically we quarantine our fish, and we are very strict with who comes in and who comes out.
Really?
And so
I mean, this what is it? A parasite or a
it's a
bacteria?
And so,
This could be transmitted by a person, a human person.
oh yeah, as little as a drop of water, and you can be infected. And so it's very hard. It exists in all the rivers. Even some of the saltwater fish are starting to catch it, and so it's there. It's there, and it's easily transmittable.
Oh, how interesting! But the fact is that your water system is a closed circuit, right? You don't add any water to that, but the water is exposed, like to rain.
Right. Well, what I do, like I said, is not traditional aquaponics.
Tell me how you do it.
Well, it's just basically we use the plants to filter the water, but it's not. Anyways, we flow through. We put a lot of our water into the dirt, and so that's how we're able to maintain dirt plants.
So you're watering. This is a different idea than the closed system aquaponics. Then,
Right. I mean,
you're using the water. What after? Let's see. First you have the water with the fish, and then you take the water and you put them through the plants, and they give nourishment to the plants.
Right.
And then what? You use that same water to water the soil for the other plants?
So my peppers and things like that, what we do is we catch all the water and we pump it back up to the top. Because part of the problem when you're talking about being a hatchery is the water use. I mean, you end up using a lot of water. If I'm going to drop a tank, if it's a 600-gallon tank, I have to fill it back up with 600 gallons.
Sure.
And so what we do is we filter the water as it goes down the hillside through the plants. We catch the water at the bottom, and then we pump it back up to the top. And so that way we're able to have 0% water usage. So not the whole farm isn't 0%, but the systems that we run are 0% water usage. So we never have to refill them.
This is a modified version, and that's why you like to have a grade on the farm, because
Right.
you can get the water back up to the top again.
I would much prefer to do some sort of traditional aquaponics, recirculating. It's just very hard to do on a hillside, obviously. So that's why we kind of do it hybrid.
So who actually? I mean, you have your wife came in. She's very pretty. I see her back there, and your baby, who looks like he's about 2,
He's
3.
He's 3.
3.
Yeah.
So, who is actually working the farm?
Well, I have.
Does your baby work the farm yet?
Yeah, well, no, he's out there. He's good. He catches the fish, and gotta start him young, you know. So, but no, I have a hatchery manager, and I have another person that helps us out. And but like I said, you don't go into farming to be rich, and I'm definitely not running some huge operation. Or like I
See your
said,
hands. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, my hands are no more the farmer hands than your hands.
Well, I don't do a lot of digging in the soil. I mean, that's why I'm an integrated farmer.
That's the payoff right there.
Right, you know, it's Kahalu'u and it rains a lot, so we end up digging in the soil more than we would like. But I mean, you know, that's one of the major advantages of aquaponics.
Yeah. So, but they say that aquaponics you don't have to work. Physical labor is not as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
As in the soil.
I would say that there's a difference between backyard and commercial, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of labor. I mean, I wouldn't let. It's just like our clients when we go to do training with people. It's very easy to tell people that I mean, it's part of how people will sell you a system is they'll tell you that there's no time, there's no maintenance, but of course there is. I mean, and in some cases, especially if we're doing it on a commercial scale, it can be labor intensive, and it's always just like traditional conventional farming. Labor is the most expensive. It is our biggest expense at the farm.
So you want to do as much of it as you can yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I have my friends of Hapa Farms, and they come out and they volunteer. And it helps to come from a large family of farmers, you know. So
Everybody chip in, barn raising style.
Yeah, right. And so.
What about energy? Now they say that farms, including of course aquaponic farms, need a lot of energy. What are you doing for energy?
Right now we're on the power grid. It's one of the advantages.
No PV.
Yeah.
No wind.
Yeah, I mean it's Kahalu'u. It's kind of anyways, I'm a little afraid that people will walk away with my PV panels. But see, so.
Oh, you don't live on the same land.
Yeah.
The land is remote from your.
It's my family land, and
right,
so
okay.
we do have people on the farm at all times. But it's I'm not there all the time, obviously. So,
Yeah.
but no, for sure. And the good thing about power when you're looking at sustainable, and I do believe in sustainable ag, is that it's there. I mean, it exists, and I don't mean to sound like I'm
Well, that's the thing in the future, though, isn't it? It's got to be. Yeah.
And there's people right now doing a lot of research into it, and it's possible that, like, say, conventional PV with batteries are not the most sustainable, right? And so there's a lot of promising technology out there that might do away with some of the less sustainable aspects of renewable energy.
Yeah,
right?
like, and cost.
And cost, right?
Yeah.
Of course. Well, I mean, some of these are going to be very expensive, but
Well, you know, the thing about renewable energy is somebody has to pay for the infrastructure.
Right.
It doesn't come down from heaven, you know.
Right.
And until you paid off whatever that expense is, you know, it's expensive.
right, for sure.
So, but do you have a plan about it? I mean, which direction would you go? Would you go PV? Would you go wind, or a combination? Why?
Yeah,
I mean, I remember when I was out at I'm sorry, not Bert Lau, but
Fred Lau.
Fred Lau's place. He had just put in a windmill there, small windmill. You've seen it, I'm sure.
Right.
And it was, you know, it was a modest windmill, but it gave him a certain amount of electrical energy, and he was using that.
I think his windmill aerates his tanks, so I don't think it.
Okay, it's just for aeration then. Okay, but some, you know, we saved electric energy.
Right, yeah, I'm
that
sure
way.
it so saves him. What Fred says is, when you depend on the wind, it's kind of hit or miss, right? So,
So you only get it certain times. That's the way it is.
Right.
But with farming, you can do that, right? You know, within a certain cycle, the wind will be back.
yeah, well, fish they enjoy having oxygen.
They're creatures of habit, eh?
Right. I mean, you know, food and oxygen, you know,
It's really important.
they enjoy it. So, you know, if your tanks aren't getting oxygenated and you're doing intensive farming, which is what most of the people do,
Your fish are dying then.
your fish will die in, you know, as little as 30 minutes. They can,
Is that right?
yeah. So,
Oh, how can you sleep nights?
yeah. I mean, we have generators obviously at the farm ready to go when the power kicks out. But yeah, it's good. The power's been getting better. When I was a little kid, Kahalu'u, we went sometimes a long time without power. So it's you know, it's not as bad as it seems.
Yeah, oh, that's tough. Okay, but you know, I get the impression, and you can help me on this, that the protein side of the equation is really valuable, much more valuable than the produce side of the equation. So when I go down to the market with my truck full of tilapia, I'm gonna get a significant check. When I go down with a truck full of lettuce, the check is much smaller. Am I right about this?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I think, you know, most conventional aquaponic companies would say that they make most of their money off of the plants. I think that's a model that underutilizes the fish. Obviously, I'm a fish hatchery, so I would love it if they raised more fish. But no, I mean, I think it can be profitable either way. So you can look at it this way. It takes 7 months to raise one of my tilapia from when you buy it from me to full size. And you can get a head of lettuce every 12 days, right? So, yeah, you would make less off the lettuce.
But you can do more lettuce.
Right. And so, but yeah, I mean, I make all of my money as an aquaponic farmer off of the fish. I don't have, I mean, I have clients, but anyways, we can talk later about small and large.
Okay, but now you have to buy the fingerlings, or do you generate them in the system?
Yeah, no, I don't buy. I make the
You
fingerlings.
make the
Right,
fingerlings.
and we make them from all different sizes, from very small to decent size, and then we sell them to either a farmer's. We've recently branched out into selling to backyard systems and things like that. It's,
Other people who want to do aquaponics.
Yeah.
So you can get them started.
Right, and we've
Doesn't bother you that they're going to be competing with you?
No, I mean we've trained other people to be hatcheries, and I mean, to me, tilapia is a very useful fish, and it's going to be around for a long time. There's no way I'll be able to supply the island of Oahu with tilapia. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, at this point, we should all be trying to get more people farming. And anyways, that's
Yeah, we got to talk about that. We'll take a short break and come back, and I want to know how you established your network of either distributors or markets that you deal with. You don't have to name them.
Yeah.
Just, I'd like to know how you establish
Seems like you've
them
worked with a few
so that-
farmers before.
so that you know when you go there, they're going to buy your fish.
Right.
That's Reyn Horner, Hapa Farms in Kahalu'u. We're talking about agritech in Hawaii, courtesy the State Department of Agriculture and specifically Liz Shue there. We're talking about farming through the generations with Reyn Horner. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Martin Despang, and I'm the host together with the one and only Ali Yamashita, and our show is called Urban Transcendence. And Urban Transcendence is about identifying where we have a unique situation of a vibrant city in one of the most beautiful natural environments. So how these two can coincide, sometimes conflict, how they could find reciprocity in the 21st century is what we're excited about. And we're planning on bringing in a diverse body of guests, both from the arts and the science and the established and the wise and the emerging generation. So hope you will join us. We'll always be on Thursdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Thank you.
We're back, we're live, we're ThinkTech doing agritech in Hawaii on a given Monday, even though it's Memorial Day. Thank you for coming down on Monday, Memorial Day. That's very nice of you, Ren.
No, thank you for having us on.
That's Reyn Horner, Hapa Farms in Kahalu'u. We're talking about farming through the generations, and it's touching to see a 5-acre farm go pass through the generations this way. I mean, it has significance, beyond just a business. It's a connection with the land and the soil and the growing things. Anyway, so I wanted to ask you about how you knew at the given moment that you got in your truck and pulled out of the farm with a bunch of tilapia, how you knew you were going to be able to sell them. You got a distribution system going on. How did you establish that?
Yeah, I have by no means do I have an extensive distribution system, but it's lucky through CTAR. We get introduced to a lot of people that need tilapia, and we have a web presence, and I don't know if that answers.
So
your
do they
question.
order on the web with you?
Yeah, for sure, and I would encourage people strongly to, if they're interested, to check out our website.
So I could order some too. Could I order one?
Well, no, I'm sorry.
Don't make me do that,
Yeah,
Jay.
no, I mean, if you want one, I'll give you a tilapia for sure. You can come pick out whichever one you want.
It's not going to be efficient for you to sell to individual buyers.
Yeah, we have a minimum order, and but I'd love to work with people. It's not easy for people to get clean stock a lot of times.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of people out there that perhaps aren't as rigorous in testing as they should, and they shouldn't anyway. So I would love for people to come and buy my fish. So.
Yeah. Well, it's another possibility. And it's an outing for the family to go and see you and all.
Well,
take a look at do you have tours? No,
Yeah.
because the people who bring those bacteria with them, not so good.
Especially because the people coming would be other farmers, right? So no, for sure. I'm sorry, but we don't really allow any visitors onto the site. If you're a farmer and you're interested in buying a lot of tilapia, for sure we can arrange something. But my biosecurity measures you got to wear a clean suit, and it's not easy. But
We'll bring it to you. Don't have to stop by.
right.
But isn't the whole thing about the markets, the restaurants, the distributors for that matter? They have to be able to count on you. They have to say, Reyn, I'm going to need X per week, per month, whatever, and you have to be able to supply that to me. As long as you can supply my requirements that I tell you, then I'll keep on ordering from you.
Right.
But when you don't come through, then I'm going to have to look elsewhere. Doesn't it go something like that?
Yeah, and can you imagine how harmful it is to the restaurant or to like Foodland or something if they're supposed to have a produce and it's not there? And I totally understand where they're coming from. And that's the problem with being a small farmer in Hawaii is, and that's something that a lot of people don't realize, or they don't take enough, they don't plan for it enough, right? And you can have a crop. I mean, I make chili peppers, I make mangoes, but if you cannot have mangoes all the time, they're gonna go buy from India or somewhere where, they're gonna be able to get mangoes, And so, for sure. And that's why most small farmers have problems breaking into large markets.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you about the challenges that are presented. I mean, The farm is the same size as it was 4 generations ago, which is, I mean, is mind-boggling, actually. You know, I keep thinking of what's that movie, the Descendants. The Descendants. So you know, that was a very popular movie, great movie, and it wasn't because of Clooney. It was because it was a great story about Hawaii. And Hawaii has 10,000 stories like that. You know, Reyn, one of those stories is your story. Your 4 generations. It's they should make a movie about you. Maybe someday.
No, yeah, they shouldn't make.
We'll come out in our white suits and make a movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but the thing is, only 5 acres. Still only 5 acres.
Right.
What's holding you back? What are the challenges, the problems that that hold you back from becoming a multi-billion-dollar organization?
Well, I don't think you can be a multi-billion-dollar organization on 5 acres, and that's not something that I really aspire
to. Get more
to.
land.
Right, you could. I mean, you could, and you dream big, Jay. I mean, yeah, I like your style, man. But I mean, yeah, that's part of the reason why we are a hatchery and not, say, a tilapia farm, right? I mean, you need space. You need space to farm. You need space, especially to do conventional egg. If I told somebody on the mainland that, like let's say a corn farmer from the mainland, that I was a farmer, and he was like, "Oh, how many acres do you have?" I'd be 5 acres. He would laugh at me, right? I mean, and it's a challenge. I mean, we live on an island, so right. And anyways, I'm sure I didn't answer your question very well.
I'll ask it again.
Right.
How come, you're not bigger? How come you didn't expand to 10, 20, 50, 100 acres?
Yeah.
How come you're not, you're not a multiple, a conglomerate already? What's holding you back?
Well, I mean, there are acres, and that's another misconception about Oahu. There is a lot of ag land available. If you're willing to drive out into the country, there's a lot of ag land available. But around the farm, when I was a little kid, I could go in any direction almost, except for towards the ocean. I mean, if I headed to the mountains, I could go 3 days and not see anybody. And now if you look, we're the last finger of not suburbs left, right? I mean, I say country, but really we're like smack dab in the middle of the city already. And,
yeah, see how Oahu gets crowded.
Yeah.
Okay, so I imagine that's one thing. Another thing is, and that's an important thing, another thing is the cost of energy must be going up over the past 20 years.
Yeah.
And, same thing, but more expense.
Yeah, the energy isn't really that big of an expense. Most of the pumps, I mean, you can buy pumps that use as little as 30 cents a day. And like I said, labor. I mean, labor is by and far the biggest expense. I mean, and you can't do everything by yourself. At some point, I had a partner, and we were doing everything by ourselves. And we couldn't clear anymore without, I mean, we could either clear or we could farm, because, you cut over here and it grows back over here, and you're like chasing yourself around in a circle. So, I mean, everybody needs help, and that's where your expense.
So if I want to hire farm labor now, to help you out, you and your partner both. I mean, not equity now.
Right.
This is not a stockholder, not a co-partner or anything. Just a day laborer. Can you afford that? I mean, or is that going to work? Are there people out there who are able to do it for a price that you can pay them?
Yeah, for sure. If I was just farming, no. But we have other sides of our company that make enough money to afford. And so what we do basically is the farm is the big sink that that just sucks all the money that we make from the other side. And but I mean, no, basically the farm pays for itself. So it would pay for one employee and the power and the water and the food and what it needs. But we're expanding, and like everything else, you expand slowly. This year was a bad year for FNO, and we've definitely noticed an uptick in large farmers being interested in buying fish, which is nice. It's encouraging for the future.
Buying from you.
Yeah, or there are other FNO-free hatcheries, and so it's not just me. And there's a lot of times people import from the mainland too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So maybe I answered your question a little better that time. We'll work on it.
We're just schmoozing here. The other thing I wanted to get to before we run out of time is the whole thing about the industry. Okay, Because where you stand, I mean, your whole life, really, you've seen it. You've seen your your parallel companies. You've seen maybe your friends, associates, competitors. You've seen them grow, maybe not. How is the industry doing? Everybody talks about, certainly the Department of Agriculture would like us to advance this. Everybody talks about advancing the industry, becoming self-sufficient. Really important for sustainability in the long term, which is rapidly becoming the short term.
Right.
How is the industry doing?
So are you talking about like the aquaponic industry or the farming?
Agricultural industry.
Call
it diversified
right.
agriculture.
I'm very sure that I'm not qualified to speak about the agricultural industry as a whole. I mean, as far as aquaculture, I see, a huge potential for aquaculture.
How about growth right now, though?
Yeah, well, right now you're seeing a lot of people trying to become farmers. It's not as easy as it sounds, and by no means am I claiming to be a successful farmer. It's very difficult. There's so many, like you said. I mean, you're very knowledgeable about. It seems like you've been talking to a lot of farmers, and I mean, sell your product there's so many obstacles in front of you. I'm not going to say the exact numbers, but there's thousands of. I just don't want to get it wrong and find somebody who'll be like, But there's thousands of food producers in the state, right? And like hundreds of them are food safe, right? And if you look at like some place like California, which is like produces more different types of agriculture than anywhere else, I mean, we have so much to go in order just making safe food. I mean, one of my employees, he's a really nice guy. He just got his master's, so I got to pay him lots of money, and he's a member of a farming program through one of the universities, and he's going out to a lot of farms, and he's always heard me preach about food safety and things like that. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert food safety. I mean, go talk to the professionals. There's lots of guys, CTAR, and he's like, I walk around these farms and it's so scary. I mean, I would eat off of any of these farms, right? And these are anyways, I mean, these are guys producing food that we're eating. And so there's a lot of things that we could do as an industry to make us more competitive. We're never going to have 10,000 acres of farmland per farmer.
What could we do? I mean, if I made you the czar of aquaponics czar in the state of Hawaii, what would you do to build the industry, to solve the whole market? In other words, have enough so that, anybody who wanted, aquaponics products could get them, and safe, and have people come in. What would you do? What would your plan be?
Well, I'm sure if I was in charge of the aquaponic industry, there'd be nothing worse for the aquaponic industry, so that's a really bad idea.
It's all theoretical.
Great,
actually.
Theoretical, but I mean, it's amazing. There's not, I'm not saying that there's a lot of people out there running. It's like there's a big conspiracy, but aquaponics in Hawaii right now is like a wave. That's what I tell people. And
a wave that comes and goes?
Well, like a wave, to me, it's like a trend, right? I mean, it's building right now, right? And so at some point, but right now we're unique, right? We have year-round growing conditions. We have a population that's very extremely interested in eating healthy, even if myself included, we're all not sure exactly who to believe and who to trust about what to eat and what's safe and what's not safe. Everybody's very interested, very passionate about it, right? And so it's very easy to sell aquaponics to people. And that's why, I think right now there's easily over 30 people selling aquaponic systems, selling that lifestyle to people. And, some of them are doing very well.
You mean career style? Or you mean consumer style?
Oh yeah, career style. Like this is what they do for a living, is they sell aquaponics to people, right? And it's awesome. It's like even if I don't agree with some of the practices, they're introducing a whole group of people that would not be interested otherwise into it. And then it's very easy to get somebody passionate about aquaponics. We work with a lot of large organizations, schools, and it's always universal. They buy a system and we train people, and I don't sell systems, but we train people how to build it, and they always go bigger. I mean, it's always like once you have success and once you get that bug in you, I mean, I don't think any of them have like, nah, we're okay. We got enough.
Always want more. Well, I mean, how about this is the dream? When photovoltaic first came online, there were people who would say, look, I'm going to convert my backyard to photovoltaic, and I'm going to generate more electricity here than I need. I'm going to sell it, and that's going to give me my retirement.
Right.
That'll pay me more than Social Security will pay me.
Right.
I'll just invest in those panels. So are people thinking the same thought? I'm going to take my backyard, I'm going to make it into aquaponics production. I'm going to make it a system that sort of runs itself mostly, and that's my retirement.
There's people out there. We call them backyard farmers. Some of them are very successful. There's a co-op of backyard farmers that are selling produce.
Oh.
Backyard aquaponic farmers that are selling produce. I mean, there are people that are doing that. I think most people are more interested just in having something that they grew themselves to eat. And aquaponic produce tastes better. I mean, I'm not sure if it's because it's aquaponics or if it's just fresh. I mean, if you've ever eaten something right off of the plant, you know what I'm talking about compared to something that's 3 weeks old or so.
You know what they say? A fish that doesn't taste like a fish is the best fish.
Yeah, no, it's fish tastes but it's anyways. There's so many reasons to do aquaponics, and we got into education, aquaponics and education, kind of as an accident. We were farming, and there was an organization, ISIS Hawaii, that's formative. I mean, we do a lot with schools, but it's because of them. And
so you're part of this whole growing industry. You're helping it grow.
Yeah, I mean.
And you're working with the extension guys from Sitar come out and help you?
Yeah, not as much recently, but for sure, when we were starting out, I mean, my family were conventional dirt farmers. I mean, my grandfather can grow a plant in the soil like you wouldn't believe, but, growing a fish is a little bit different.
It's the same thing about making things grow, isn't it?
Right, I mean.
What about Aquaculture Hub? You know that one? Aquaculturehub.com.
Yeah, no,
Benny Ron,
right.
Runs that. So anyway, I mean, where do you think this is going? Is it going to backyard farmers who is going to help their neighbors and friends, but not really go commercial, or is it going to go into huge commercial aquaponics? Facilities. I mean, for example, if I came out here as an investor and I said, how about I'll give you $1 million and see what you can do to go commercial. Would you know what to do? What would you do?
Well, I would say that I'm commercial already.
I mean, big commercial.
Yeah. Well, $1 million wouldn't really help you out that much. I don't believe the numbers that you're talking about are large, because you would have to purchase more land, and you would have to. The infrastructure costs are substantial. And so, they haven't solved all the problems with aquaponics. I mean, they haven't.
I mean, scientifically.
Right. And so, if you're looking at it just as a way to make money, I mean, hydroponics, they've proven it, right? I mean, the science is there. You put X amount of money into chemicals, and the plant comes out what you want. I mean, they've done it for 50 years, and they've done it for a long time. Aquaponics is something that I think is more interesting for its sustainable aspects, and the fact that you can combine protein and plants. And so, properly done, I mean, Fred Lau is making money. He's the largest aquaponic farmer in the nation. It's not going to be forever. There are, across the nation, there's large, I mean, hundreds of acre aquaponic farms being started. And so...
We could do that, couldn't we?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Because I grant you the land is hard, but if I gave you a blank check investment, okay, you could do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you gave me a blank check,
export.
I could build you the biggest aquaponic farm you've ever seen. We would make so much fish and vegetables, but I could never guarantee that we'll be able to pay back your blank check investment because, I mean, you know, the infrastructure costs would be high. And we would have to do it food safe because that's something that I insist on. And that's also, I mean, food safe is cheaper than you think. And people look at food safety like, oh, it's going to cost this but it's very cheap. I mean, build a fence, take some steps when you harvest, and you're golden, you know? So, but anyways, yeah, I mean, so I hope that answers your question.
No.
Aquaponics gives you the ability to produce so much produce in such a small area, right? And so
Yeah.
it's
Well, that's the
wonderful.
real miracle of it, John.
Right.
You don't need a big and you don't need a lot of extra water.
Right, and you know, you have, like you said, protein poundage. I mean, poundage, right? You can produce a lot of fish in a small system.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So where's the industry going? Do you think? I mean, and how fast? You ride this horse every day. So where do you think it's going?
oh well, I mean, I see nothing but good things for the future. You know, there's a lot of environmental concerns that, you know, people are, you know, across the nation are starting to. It's starting to be big news across the nation, right? And so people are starting to be more concerned about things like that. And when you look at Hawaii specifically, we're the most isolated landmass in the world, and we're running out of salt. I'm not gonna name my wife before. She's like, if you start talking about something, do not go through and check off every single. I mean, you know, like that's so. I mean, anyways, to me the potential is huge, right? I mean, I'm not trying to sound crass, but it's hard to get people to eat tilapia now. But, well, I mean, you know, there are populations of Hawaii that are big fans of tilapia, but it's hard to get local people to eat tilapia now. And
They carry that bias from many years already.
it's the ditch fish, right? It's the
Yeah.
unclean fish.
Yeah.
And but what happens when we don't have ocean fish? And
Well, I know your plan.
you're right.
I know your plan. It's going to be, you know, pretty much the same kind of operation with the same, what do you call it, poundage of product of tilapia, except that as the ocean gets fished out and as protein gets more expensive from other sources, every fish will be worth more and more and more, and your expenses will stay the same.
Right.
And guess what? You'll be rich
Right.
doing that.
Well, we have a lot of room to expand as a hatchery. We could produce a lot more fish than we do right now, and the reason we don't is just there's not a lot of people interested in buying it. So really, I'm not so much worried about me, but I'm more interested in getting a lot of other people's to farm, right? Because it's an industry. It's an industry model that's worked around the world.
Okay, well, let's check back with you, you know, like in a year or something.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
See how things are going. You're not going anywhere, I know that.
Yeah, well, I'm not claiming to be the tilapia Pied Piper. I have no control over any of that stuff.
It's
but
just one man's farm.
Right.
We just want to check. We take your temperature.
Yeah,
You know, one
no,
man's
I
farm.
would love to.
Call you the canary in the coal mine.
If we're still around, hopefully we haven't gone belly up yet. So.
That's Reyn Horner, Hapa Farms in Kahalu'u. You're here on ThinkTech Talks, Agritech in Hawaii. We're talking about farming through the generations and learning a lot about Hapa Farms. Thank you so much, Reyn.
Thank you.
Aloha.